We call it the cloud. We say our photos and messages live up there, in the air, somewhere weightless and safe. It is one of the most successful and most misleading words of our age. Because almost nothing about the internet is up. Nearly all of it is down, on the cold, dark floor of the ocean. Here is the fact that quietly undoes the metaphor. Somewhere around 99% of all the data that moves between continents, every transatlantic video call, most of the money, most of the internet you think of as global, travels not by satellite, but through cables lying on the seabed. Physical cables. You could hold one in your hand. And they are shockingly modest objects. A cable carrying a large share of a continent's traffic is often about as thick as a garden hose. Inside are strands of glass, thinner than a human hair, carrying pulses of light. There are only a few hundred of these lines threading the world's oceans. That small bundle is the actual physical internet between nations. I think this is worth knowing, not to frighten you, but because we have hidden the most important infrastructure on the planet behind a word that means do not worry about it. And the things we are told not to worry about are exactly the ones worth understanding. So let me count the ways this quietly matters. First, and most absurd, the greatest everyday threat to the global internet is not a hacker, it is a ship's anchor. A vessel dragging its anchor across the seabed in the wrong place can slice clean through a cable and slow a whole country's internet. It happens somewhere in the world, every few days. And most of the time, you never hear about it, because of the second thing. Redundancy. Traffic that would have crossed the broken cable simply reroutes through the others, in milliseconds, the way water finds another way downhill. The system is built to bleed a cut without dying, which is genuinely reassuring, right up until you look at where the cables actually go. Because thirdly, they do not spread evenly across the oceans, they funnel. Enormous shares of the world's cables squeeze through a handful of narrow places, a single strait, one stretch of coast, one crowded patch of seabed. Cut one line and traffic reroutes. Cut a choke point and there may be nowhere left to reroute to. The redundancy is real, but it is not infinite and it is not shared evenly. Fourth, when one does break, fixing it is almost comically analog. A specialized ship sails out, finds a cable lying kilometers down, hooks it, hauls both ends to the surface, and a technician splices the glass back together by hand on a rocking deck. There are only so many of these ships in the world. A serious break can take weeks to mend. And increasingly, the firms laying the new cables are the very same tech giants whose services ride along them. The cloud providers are, very literally, buying up the ocean floor. The image of something weightless and shared is, more and more, a private thing made of glass and steel, owned outright by a few companies. So hold the real picture in your head. Not a sky full of signal, but a floor full of cable. A few hundred fragile lines, some no thicker than a hose, carrying almost everything, threaded through a few pinch points, mended by a few ships. That is the internet between continents. That is the cloud. None of this is a reason to panic. The system is tougher than it sounds and it has survived every cut so far, but it is not what the word tells you. The next time something loads from the cloud, picture the truth of it. Light racing through glass, along the black bottom of the sea, past anchors and trawl nets and the occasional curious shark. We built the most weightless feeling thing in modern life on the heaviest, most physical foundation there is. It is worth remembering the ground is really down there,